Hey, Jump Scare Kirby! Do you know what time it is, Jump Scare Kirby? What? No, that's not what time it is, you bumbling idiot. It's time for Silent Hill 2. Well, of course there's more than one game. Where have you been living your whole life? In a basement? Oh wait, you have been living in a basement. And I've been living in a basement too. Good afternoon, my little friends. And welcome back to the basement, where video games meet tears and sadness. I'm so sad! Last time, we talked about Silent Hill, one of the greatest horror games of all time. And this time, we're gonna talk about Silent Hill 2, one of my favorite horror games of all time. But we're also gonna talk about other things, like loneliness. And emptiness. And depression.
So, chances are, if you've spent any considerable amount of time watching my videos, you've probably already guessed this, but I have depression.
God, and just saying that in a video sounds dumb. That's because it is dumb. Who the hell are you? I'm Jordan. No, I'm Jordan. No, I'm Jordan. No, you're not! I can be if I kill you.
Personally, I'm not the type of person who likes to talk about my depression, because, well, fuck, who in the world doesn't get depressed, right? Sadness is an emotion we all go through, and we all go through it in different ways. And to be completely honest, sad is more or less something I used to be a long time ago, rather than something I am today. I mean, you all know me today. I'm a happy person nowadays. I mean, yeah, I do think about death a lot. I talk about morbid shit all the time, and I'm extremely obsessed with dark, fucked up, dismal things. But depressed? I can't really say I'm depressed. I find a little too much beauty in the world. Too much irony and hilarity in it to really be depressed. Nowadays, everything's just funny to me. Any gloom I do have, I just laugh it away. I try to embrace sadness nowadays as something beautiful and normal, rather than something tragic and painful. And I think doing that has helped a lot.
But back when I was younger, things were much different.
When I was a kid, a young, dumb, clueless little kid, I was a manic, depressive mess. At least for the most part. On the outside, I was just your typical nerdy kid. I stayed home a lot, played video games, read books, drew pictures, only sometimes hung out with friends, and that was all fine. But on the inside, something was wrong.
Wait, you've hung out with friends? You've never hung out with friends. Shut up. You've never even left this basement. You don't even know how to leave this basement. Why do you have to say depressing things?
So first, when I was little, my doctor tried to diagnose me with clinical depression, or as he referred to it, major depressive disorder. This is something I can't really blame him for. Whenever I talked to my doctor as a kid, I would always say things like, "Doctor, I feel empty. Everything around me feels sad. I look at the city and I feel sad. I look at the trees and I feel sad. I look at the houses and I think about sad things. I think about people growing up and getting old, and then dying because they're old. I think about people getting married and throwing their life away, and then getting sick of each other years later, and then dying because they're old. I think about all the people who got tortured in the Dark Ages, and I wish I could help them, but I can't, because they're already dead. And one day I'll be dead too, but first I'll get old." Yeah, I was a weird kid.
But honestly, this wasn't even the worst part of it all. The worst part was that I just wanted to be alone.
Ever since I was young, from age 7 to about age 18, I spent my time, all my time day and night, locked in my room completely alone. I pushed people away. I isolated myself. And the older I got, the less I wanted to see anyone. I spent the majority of days by myself. And what did I do? Well, I played video games. And you know what my favorite video game was back then? My favorite game in the whole wide whole bloody whole wide world? Yes, Silent Hill 2. So here's a question. Have you ever played a game that haunted you? A game that permanently, scarringly haunted you, lingering in your mind and following your thoughts everywhere you go? I don't necessarily mean this in a scary way. I mean this like, in a mental way. I'm talking about a game that you literally felt a mental connection with. A game that hit you so hard it stuck with you when you first played it, and never let go.
I suppose in some ways I have a lot of things like that. I mean, anyone who's grown up with video games, or any other art form for that matter, is gonna have a great deal of things that have stuck with them that they'll never forget. But I don't know, something about this feels different. Nothing has ever stuck with me like Silent Hill 2. I have a relationship with this game. Something personal and weird that I can't easily describe.
So Silent Hill 2, obviously, is a sequel to Silent Hill. And like Silent Hill, it's regarded as a masterpiece. This has often been considered one of the all-time greatest video games ever created in the history of history. And for pretty good reason. It has the rich, heavy atmosphere and all the gnarly, twisted psychological horror that made the first game so great. But at the same time, it also has this story. This good story, with detailed characters, elaborate drama, and a pretty unique sense of gritty, shocking human depth. In some ways, I like to call this game my depression game. I play this game mainly, if not only, when I'm feeling sad, empty, or depressed. And that's because the game itself feels sad, empty, and depressed. It follows the story of James Sunderland, a man who, like Harry Mason from the first game, is searching for someone.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
But unlike the first game, in Silent Hill 2, you aren't searching for someone who's lost. You aren't searching for someone who's kidnapped, disappeared, or missing. You're searching for someone who's already dead.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill.
So apparently this man James has recently received a letter from his wife Mary telling him to come to Silent Hill. Of course, Mary is also dead, and has apparently been dead for a good number of years, so the fact that James is here in the first place looking for her is obviously a little counterproductive.
That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her?
This game's making me sad. Everything's making you sad. Why don't you wipe those tears off your face and quit whining about everything? Why don't you stop talking to a camera and get a real job? Fuck you, man.
So the game starts you off here at this eerie parking lot, and all you can really do is enter Silent Hill and start searching for Mary. It's a quiet, lonely intro for a video game, but it's always somewhat moved me. I don't know, there's just something about walking into the empty post-apocalyptic looking town. Something about playing as a sad, widowed man who doesn't seem to have anyone to care about or anything to look forward to in life. Also, it sounds like there's a monster following you in the background, so there's that too. After the lonely intro, you next suddenly enter a misty graveyard. And then voice acting happens.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry. I
No,
was
it's
just...
okay. I didn't mean to scare you.
I didn't mean to scare you. I'm just looking for my dead wife. My dead wife.
I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Lost.
I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother.
So James meets this random woman in the graveyard, Angela, who claims to be looking for her long-lost mother. It's the first human interaction you have in the game, and it's probably the most normal one you'll experience. And sure, the voice acting is pretty awkward and weird, but you know, it was actually pretty damn good voice acting for its time. As cheesy as it was, the voice acting in this game had a lot of emotion put into it.
Since she had studied acting, and I had studied acting, and we had never really done anything with it because we were both in business, we both looked at this as like, this may be the one big shot I have to do something. Yes. And there was no holding back.
I always assumed the strangeness of it had to have been intentional, because after all, the game itself is supposed to be strange. At least 50% of the dialogue feels clueless and confusing. But at the same time, there are so many lines that are delivered just perfectly.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real.
But anyway, getting ahead of myself. So after you walk away from the graveyard, you start to venture deeper into the town, eventually reaching the gray, bleak, hollow streets. And there, you see this. Oh shit. Is that supposed to be Mary? Mary doesn't look so good. Let's follow her. No, it's not Mary! Not Mary! It's a gross wiggling worm person thing! Kill it, James!
Is it dead? What the hell is it?
Okay, now here's where things start to get interesting. After you encounter the first monster in the game, pay attention and you might notice something. The creatures in this game look entirely different from the creatures in Silent Hill 1. They're not giant moths or winged demons or slimy monstrous centipedes. Instead, they're humanoid. All of them. Every single monster in this game is humanoid. They're also feminine. Each of the monsters' bodies that you see early in the game all have feminine posture, and notably feminine shapes. Except for one, who we'll talk about later.
This thing broken?
So after this, you end up finding a key to an abandoned apartment building. And it's when you get there that the grim, claustrophobic gameplay truly starts to rear its wonderfully ugly face. Just like the first game, you'll spend Silent Hill 2 mostly walking around in the dark. In the dark, dark, dark. Exploring rooms, finding items, killing monsters, and making your way past whatever weird psychological shit stands in your way. Ooh, James just felt something behind that wall. I don't know what the hell was up with that scene, but don't worry, it's never explained. Oh god, and the creatures crawl like spiders! They crawl like spiders!
You know what I really like to do? I like to have James stand in the back of the room and watch them crawl like spiders, out the corner of my eye, from a distance. It's creepy, just watch. Wait for it. Marvelous.
Oh, and aside from all the humanoid effeminate monsters walking around, another thing worth noticing at this point that you may find interesting are the bodies. All throughout this game, there are dead bodies you'll see lying around the town. It's pretty common to find, but if you look closely at these bodies, you'll notice something interesting. Every body looks the same. They all have the same hair, the same shape, and the same clothes, but you can never ever see their faces. Curious, isn't it? Oh god, what is that thing? I don't like that thing. I sure hope I don't run into that thing in one of the apartment rooms later on. Oh shit, it's a rapist! It's a rapist with a pyramid! Hide James before it rapes you.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Pyramid Head. Basically, this game's nemesis.
Pyramid Head is a strong, deadly, unkillable monster that stalks and hunts you throughout the entirety of Silent Hill 2. He's one of the only masculine monsters around, and whenever you run into him, he's often seen violently grabbing, molesting, and thrusting his hips against the other monsters around him.
You know what's sad? What? The fact that people actually get raped. You know what else is sad? What? The fact that people kill themselves. Like, you know that scene in the game where Angela's lying on the floor holding a knife, acting like she's gonna kill herself? That makes me want to kill myself. That we haven't even gotten to that scene yet. Just stop being sad, stop interrupting the video, and stop using your mouth. It's supposed to be sad. That's what makes this game beautiful. It takes real life sadness and transforms it into art. But that's sad too! Jesus Christ.
So eventually, as Sad Jordan stated, you do come across Angela again, the girl from the graveyard. You come across her in a closed-off room, lying on the floor and seemingly contemplating suicide. And I don't know if it's because of the music or what, but this has always been one of my favorite scenes in the game.
Will you hold it for me?
Sure. No problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. No!
Also, this isn't the only other human being you encounter in the game. Later in the building, you also find a man named Eddie vomiting in a bathroom, who seems to be blabbering in denial about some crime he's been accused of committing in the past.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear.
This is one thing I love about Silent Hill 2 over Silent Hill 1. Complex characters.
Everyone knows the best characters, or at least the most human characters, are ones with flaws. Humans have flaws, so characters should have flaws too. It makes them more real, and Silent Hill 2 was one of the first games to ever fully realize this. I know there had been other games in the past with complex, flawed characters, but see, what makes Silent Hill 2 so special is, it doesn't just have flawed characters, it is completely about flawed characters. Where Silent Hill 1 was about pretty black and white characters, you know, characters who were just good, or evil, or innocent and tortured, Silent Hill 2 took it a massive step further. All these characters have flaws. They have emotions, unpredictable and unbalanced, and their emotions reflect the choices they've made, the demons they're fighting from the past. The characters you meet in this game are fluctuating. They have elements of kindness, but they have elements of selfishness as well, like real people. Even the one completely innocent character, Laura.
It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
Laura is this little blonde-haired girl you meet early in the game. Someone who doesn't seem to be able to see any of the monsters or weird things running around in the town. And just like a real child, even she acts like a bit of a jerk sometimes.
There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I?
Yeah, James. Don't you know a great capable death machine when you see one? Laura can take care of herself.
Laura!
Ha ha! I tricked you.
That's what you get, James, for defying the great Laura! Oh, but that reminds me. I haven't even shown the most important character you meet. Maria.
You're coming with me?
You were gonna just leave me?
No, but...
With all these monsters around?
No, I just...
So after exploring the apartment building, and getting trapped in a room with Pyramid Head for like 5 hours, James escapes out the back door and then wanders through the town some more, eventually reaching the docks of the misty Toluca Lake. And here, he runs into a woman.
Mary? No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
So Maria looks like Mary, but she's apparently not Mary. You spend a big chunk of time in the game walking around with Maria, clinging to your side. She acts confused and aloof, but she also acts natural, like she has some connection to you. Even getting pissed at you once when you leave her alone for too long.
Anyway! What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me.
Maria also has a key to a certain building in the town, an abandoned strip club, and she takes you to that strip club at one point. Something never explained in the game, but obviously symbolic to the story. And this, right here, which I've been meticulously building up to, is probably the most important thing about Silent Hill 2. Symbolism.
Everything you come across in this game is symbolic. It's concealed, but it's connected. And as you continue pulling it apart, you'll start to realize just how psychological James's journey really is.
As this game goes on, it perpetually gets weirder and weirder. Eventually you start to come across impossible things, like bottomless holes you have to jump down in, or living, breathing rooms you have to walk around in, or writing on the walls that... Wait. Oh man. James did something bad.
Silent Hill 2 is kind of like a dark, demented, taboo children's book. Actually, it's more or less kind of like a David Lynch movie. It's a mind-bending odyssey that might be real but might not. And for a video game of its time, it touches upon some incredibly dark subjects. Hello? Your mom touches upon dark subjects. I'm sitting right here, you know. Also, I'd like you to know you're a terribly mean person, and nobody loves you. Doesn't feel good, does it?
You know how I said I like to play Silent Hill 2 when I feel depressed? Well, this is the reason. This game feels like depression. Every second of it. The subject matter, the gameplay, the music, the atmosphere. It's literally like depression just crawled right out of my body and manifested itself in the form of a video game. There are so many moments that remind me of it. Like, you know that scene where you find Eddie in the bowling alley, sitting and eating pizza, and he's all depressed?
Are you alone here, Eddie? No.
This scene always makes me feel weird. This whole room makes me feel weird. It's not often in this game that you can stay in a room with another character in it. And it's not often that music will be playing in the background either. Whenever I get to this room, I just want to stay here. I want to stay here forever. Hide from the world. Hide from everything I'm afraid of outside. Oh, and you know how I was saying you jump into bottomless black holes and stuff? Well, a lot of that happens in this game. A lot of falling, a lot of plunging, deeper and deeper into the darkness. And you know, it actually reminds me of a recent game I played. A game based on depression. It was called Elude. Elude is a little flash game someone made strictly for the purpose of raising awareness for depression. It's a short game where you play a tired-looking black-haired guy walking through a forest. This guy really likes birds, and the only thing you can do in this game is sing to the birds by pressing the space bar. Usually the birds will sing back, but as the game goes on, they stop singing back. Eventually, the ground starts to consume the main character. He begins falling, stumbling and sinking into the ground. Sometimes he's able to get back up to the surface, but eventually it becomes too much. This is a game specifically made to represent clinical depression. And you know what? It plays just like Silent Hill 2. I don't think I'm too weird for relating my depression with Silent Hill 2. The entire game is a downward spiral. James is constantly descending into darkness. And when I watch him face his demons, through some wretched yet powerful kind of game immersion, I feel like I'm facing my own demons too. Not that my demons are anything like James's. Like I said, this game touches upon some dark subjects.
Also, spoiler alert. Click here to skip ahead if you don't want the ending of the game spoiled. 'Cause I'm gonna spoil it right now.
Murder, lust, child molestation, rape, neglect, guilt, torture, and despair. These are the subjects Silent Hill 2 meddles with. It's crazy, dark, real shit. And Silent Hill 2 was one of the first big video games to come at it from such a deep, under-the-skin perspective.
You're only after one thing!
No, that's not true at all.
Go ahead and say it! Or you could just force me. Beat me up like he always did.
And what do I mean by deep under the skin? Well, take James for example.
I killed a human being. A human being.
James is a murderer. But the thing is, Silent Hill 2 doesn't depict a murderer as an evil person. Instead, it depicts a murderer as a complicated person.
I told you that I wanted to die, James.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer.
In the end, James killed his wife. That's the plot twist. And you know what I love about the fact that he killed his wife? I love that he didn't just kill her for one reason. He killed her for a lot of reasons. In some ways, he doesn't even know why he killed her. He killed her because he loved her. He wanted to put her out of her misery. But he also killed her because he hated her. Because he was selfish and corrupt.
You must have hated me. That's why you got rid of me.
It's true. I may have had some of those feelings.
Oh, and fun fact, did you guys know Mary's dead body is in the back of James's car? Yeah, her body's in the car throughout the entire game. It's been confirmed, it's canon. And apparently the in-water ending is also canon. That isn't my favorite ending by any means, but to me, that makes the game so haunting. Knowing James is walking around the town looking for Mary while this whole time Mary's in the trunk or the back seat of the car, that's creepy. And even if that weren't the story, this game would still be haunting. Every moment of the game is so carefully thought out, so cleverly crafted with the most spooky, masterful, tender love and care. And there are so many scenes I could mention.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
For Angela, it's always like this. Someone should make a game about Angela. I want to know what her Silent Hill looks like.
Also, the scene where Pyramid Head kills himself. That always chokes me up.
See, this is why I didn't want Pyramid Head in the fucking movie. Like everything in this game, Pyramid Head is symbolic. He represents James's guilt and his deep desire to be punished.
That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins.
So let's just keep using him in everything on Earth, why don't we? But really, I kid. Things like Pyramid Head, they're not the reason I like Silent Hill 2. The biggest reason I like Silent Hill 2 is just about the reason I like anything I like. The atmosphere.
Silent Hill 2 has the most overwhelming, the most somber, the most bitter, sharp, and piercing atmosphere of my life. Just like the original, the atmosphere is the biggest reason I play this game. The atmosphere is what reminds me most of my depression. It's so empty. Emptiness is so weird. It's weird how emptiness is something we can feel, something we can want, crave even.
It's because you're depressed. What? You like emptiness because you're depressed. It's okay to be depressed. Look, I'm not depressed. You're the one who's depressed. I'm fine. But why not be depressed? There are so many reasons to be depressed. You're going to die one day, you know. Stop. You're going to die? And one day everyone you know is going to die. You might even watch them die. I said stop! Right now, you're sitting here in this room, playing video games, and outside, people are living their lives. You're alone. Please stop it. You're sitting here alone, playing video games, while other people out there are suffering, dying of hunger and thirst. Who do you think you are, man? Who do you think you are? I'm Jordan. No. You're not Jordan. You're not. But I am. No. Stay away from me. What is that? A giant plastic wrench? You're gonna kill me with a giant plastic wrench? Yes, I'm gonna kill you with a giant plastic wrench!